the Smart Woman Podcast, a podcast series brought to you by Gabriela Mueller Coaching International. Your useful dose of coaching advice to help you get what you want more often with less trouble. Gabriela dives into big questions about what matters to women like you in the workplace. It's concrete, focused, and fun. Gabriela's coaching impacts thousands of women worldwide. Welcome to the Smart Woman Podcast. Now your host, Gabriela Mueller.
Hello, chicas. Welcome, powerful women from around the world. You have arrived. Yes, this is the right place. The Smart Woman Podcast, where you're going to be getting ideas, strategies, inspiration, things that do work, that when you apply them in your workplace, they work wonders for you. And of course, in your personal life, lots of things will be very useful because I want you to thrive, to advance in your career, to get more recognition, more clarity, higher compensation, more visibility, and better results. I'm Gabriela, your coach and host. And I'm all about doing. And if you want to check out the previous episodes where I talk about executive presence, negotiating, speaking up, assertiveness, establishing boundaries, getting what you want more often and with less trouble, you want to go and check out this content. And I'm happy that you're tuning in today because they're all going to be new actionable items and strategies that you can use in your very next meeting or that upcoming presentation or your annual review that is coming up. Any of these strategies, when you use them wisely, they are going to get dividends and progress in your career. And if you practice, you will soon get to master these things and will serve you even more. And today's episode is so juicy and good because it's about strategies for women in STEM, and that stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. And it's close to my heart because it's an area that not only I know well, but it's also an area where I used to work prior to becoming an executive coach. So I used to be in IT and telecom and technology. So that was my world. And so I know what it is to be in a male-dominated environment, adding value while being the only woman in the room. And before we go on, I want you to make sure that you connect to even more tools and more content that I share in different platforms. So if you are in Twitter, follow me on Gabriela Mueller. Instagram, Coach Gabriela Mueller. Facebook, Gabriela Mueller Coaching. And if you are serious about getting even more tools and strategies that can only get to you via email, you want to go and check out my website and sign up for the newsletter, www.gabrielamueller.com. Okay, in today's episode, these are the strategies for women in STEM. Again, science, technology, engineering, and math. And we need to realize that we only have about 26% of women really working in areas like that. And I just read them out. You can imagine how important they are in the fourth industrial revolution, that it's here. And it's determining and defining the world of tomorrow. So we need as well feminine talent in those areas. And at the moment, I can tell you that out of the 100 women that might go and get a bachelor degree, 12 graduate with a STEM major, but only 3 continue to work in STEM fields. So not only we don't get a lot of young women and girls interested in this area in early years, but then when we do get them in further education, we somehow lose them between the academic part of their lives to the professional performance part of their lives. So there is a leak of talent there. Now, not everything is so dark. When we talk about women in STEM, we just know that out of all the different fields, women in STEM jobs earn about 30% more than comparable women in non-STEM jobs. We do see then a smaller gender pay gap in STEM jobs than in other jobs that are not from this area. If I tell you, for example, that a woman in a STEM job comparable to a male peer in the same job, she could be making in average about 92 cents out of a dollar. You can compare it to euros as well. And even though there is a pay gap, it's actually smaller than any other area and sector. So although it's not ideal, we need to notice that it's actually the smallest difference we see in gender pay gap around the world. Okay, chicas, the strategies and the stories you are about to hear, that are not only good for women in STEM. That's the good news, is that if you are working in a male-dominated environment, and for those we count so many other areas, which is IT, banking, financial services, even sport management in certain areas, politics, these strategies would also be good for you. I will just be basing some of this in some examples of women in STEM because that is clearly a male-dominated environment. And don't forget to share this content with women who may be in that same situation and they can benefit out of these strategies. Okay, I'll start by telling you the story of Anna Stevens, one of my coaches. She works for a technology and infrastructure company focused in new energies. So she finds her job stimulating, really interesting, rewarding by all standards. She's an executive director of security and infrastructure in her company, which is global. People that report to her are administrators, engineers, security analysts, and you name it, all kinds of admin staff. They support the global operations and she oversees teams in 3 different continents. In total, 80 stakeholders. Out of those, 95 are male stakeholders and often older. Anna is often asked, how did you choose a career in such male-dominated sector? She answers, my story is unique, but it doesn't have to be. She explains how she was always supported and encouraged to take on challenges regardless of her gender. And she talks about having supporting voices also from female and male mentors along her career, even outside her own sector, which has given her an advantage as a female executive in the sector where she is today. So I have a question for you, powerful, smart woman listening to the Smart Woman podcast. Do you have a mentor? Is your mentor a he or a she? And if you don't, who could be your mentor? We all need mentors. The best people, the best leaders, the best sport people, the best executives and leaders in the world have mentors. We all need a mentor or mentors. So who is yours? And second question, are you mentoring other women? It's a way of paying it forward and giving back. So if you are a woman already working in STEM sector, you can be a powerful source of inspiration for all these young women out there as they are making their choice about a profession that not only matches their interest, but it's also one that can have a major impact in today's world. Michelle Obama recently spoke at Apple, and she was one of the keynote speakers at Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference in San Jose, California. And she simply said, Apple, I think you are missing out on my money unless you include more women as developers, designers, and engineers. And not only that, in this conference itself, where are the ladies? And examples can go on and on. I was recently invited to attend, not as a speaker, as an attendee, to the CERMAT Summit. And years ago I attended and I liked it, and though I could notice that there would be a gender gap in the organizing team and the speakers in the panels, yet at that time it wasn't so strong as it is today. So this year I got again their invitation, and there is no one woman's name in none of the most important roles during the entire summit. The paradox is that this year's theme is humanizing innovation. Without women, without the other 50% of the world's population, we can't continue to have the important conversation of innovation and concrete solutions for today's challenges without feminine talent at the table. And I'll be happy to join again once I see that, again, this organization and even more organizations would invite and encourage female talent that comes from STEM to bring their brains, their ideas, their spirit, their energy, and these new conversations at the table so that we can all thrive and create a better world for all. So I'm excited now today to show you and to share with you 5 strategies that can serve you women in male-dominated environments to start using and implementing today. And it's going to make your life easier regardless of what your organization needs to still do and undertake to make sure that the environment welcomes female talent at the table. Are you ready? First strategy, I call them the powerful 2 C's, meaning C for confidence and C for courage. And I know that we have talked about this in past episodes. I want to land on concrete strategies that can help you, because we know that young women who graduate out of a STEM area, they have fuller and higher levels of confidence. But then give them a few years of working in a male-dominated environment and their self-confidence will soon evaporate. And that's confirmed by research. I encourage you that regardless of your role, support the creation of mentors, of role models, of environments that are not hostile to women. And this is one of the ideas and coaching methods that I use with leaders around the world, because they are really at the top of these organizations, being able to create and set the pace for these environments to flourish. And when it comes to courage, my friends, have the courage to ask and take the seat that you deserve at the table. And this translates in very simple actions. When you enter the room, please do not take the place that is the farthest place away from whoever is running the meeting, the chairperson, where the contribution is expected. Never place yourself at the end of the aisles, at the back of that auditorium. That, remember, if you are in a STEM area, you're probably one of the 5% female presence in the room. So you want to be noticed, you want to tell the world, I'm here, by being courageous, by raising your hand when you disagree, and when you have a question, when you have a great idea, share it. And when you do it without being apologetic, without any disclaimer, and without letting your inner critic voice take over. Second strategy, use direct communication. Remember, you are surrounded by your male peers. And we women are most likely to add qualifiers or disclaimers to communication, and it makes us sound more junior, unsure, and nervous. And it sounds something like this. I'm not so sure if everybody will agree with me, but here is an idea. Could you tell that I wasn't really convinced about my own idea? Or apologies, such as, I hate to ask you this, but... No. The apologetic and uncertain tone often comes across as insecure or powerless. So, amiga, if your communication style appears weak, unsure, practice being assertive. That doesn't mean you're going to try to be rude or hostile. It simply means you're going to drop the apologies and disclaimers. In key moments, you want to lower a bit the tone, not the volume. It's the tone that is telling the world you are sure about what you're saying. And by choosing that and lowering the tone of your voice, slow down, you're going to sound more authoritative, sure, and assertive. Number 3, accept credit for your work and welcome compliments. I can't tell you how many times I have seen women being unable to take on own a compliment without throwing it away or disregarding it or making it invalid. And this is one that I have personally been able to polish, because I didn't used to be like that. It was almost embarrassing to get a compliment, especially about my performance. Nowadays, a simple thank you can go a long way. When you say that, you are also recognizing your own performance. You are thanking the people who noticed it. And at the same time, the person who gave you the compliment gets to keep a good feeling about it. The worst you can do is something like, well, it wasn't really me. It was nothing. I got lucky. Well, it was really the job of the team. I was just there to deliver. No big deal. All these sounds as your job wasn't important, and the person who gave you the compliment walks away thinking, so much for giving recognition to somebody's performance, right? And sure, you want to recognize your team's efforts, While it's important to acknowledge everybody's accomplishments, refusing to accept responsibility for the positive role you played won't inspire confidence in your abilities. So, welcome compliments and accept the credit for your work, my friend. Okay, now let's move on to number 4. You want to review your own beliefs about women in the workplace and in leadership. If, for example, you think that women are less apt to be successful in business or really at the top of leadership in your organization, your belief may become a self-fulfilling prophecy. What I mean is, your communication style, your decisions, your non-verbal gestures, everything will scream, "I'm not good enough," or "I don't really have a chance to lead." Whether you are wearing a dress or a suit, it doesn't matter. What matters is the vibe that you give off wearing those clothes, the energy, the enthusiasm, and the self-belief that you may have in you. If you believe that you can rise on your own merit and your work, you will be much more likely to stand out of the crowd for the right reasons, showing your personal leadership, your ideas, your contribution, and you just happen to be a woman. Exactly, not because of your gender or in spite of your gender. Simply because of your merit, your work, and the way you let the world know with your communication skills that you are there. And the last one, number 5, network. Be willing to network. Yes, let's not waste any more time thinking about how men network also outside the office setting and outside their industry. We could actually get the best practices. And I can just tell you right now, 70% of women would network at the same level of their leadership where they are, whereas only 30% would do it 1 or 2 levels above, which is how the majority of men would normally do it, meaning they would almost do over 70% of the time, they would be networking with stakeholders 1 or 2 levels above their leadership level. Okay, so here it is. The truth is we need our networks to be wide and high, meaning it's great to network and have your supporting base where you are. And it's also very smart to think about who up there in your organization or in your industry needs to know your name, and that person is 1 or 2 levels above. So be selective, use smartly. Where, when are you going to be in those moments and places where those main stakeholders are there for you to meet and have FaceTime with them? And no, you don't have to go out there with your team every Friday night for beer or go golfing with the entire team or with special people over the weekend, because you have your life, you have your own roles, you have your interests. No, what you can do is be selective and also strategic. And one last word for organizations. If you are listening to the Smart Woman podcast and you are a player in charge of making sure that policies are in place in your organization to retain and attract female talent in STEM, you want to make sure that you have clear written policies against mistreatment and procedures for reporting it when it happens for women available in the workplace. You want to make sure that a flourishing, good, trustworthy environment is the one that is used in the office or in the workplace or in the field. Training and education about what behaviors are inappropriate, it's important, and also if there are any consequences about that. And finally, firm and consistent organizational leaders are setting the pace. These things, for the most part, we've seen around the world, goes top, bottom, and they convey the right message, people will follow. So if you are a leader in an organization and you want to have more female talent sitting at the table helping you get better results and numbers, you want to make sure that your organization is a good, safe environment for women. All right, my powerful women out there, 5 strategies for you within the STEM area, concretely, though, for anybody working out there in male-dominated environments. 1. Confidence and courage. 2. Use direct communication. 3. Accept credit for your work and compliments. 4. Examine your beliefs about women in the workplace and leadership. And finally, be willing to network wisely and strategically. And now I'll leave you with a quote that came from the World Economic Forum, where I have the fortune also to participate because it's happening, of course, here in Switzerland every January. When more women enter the STEM workforce, this will accelerate innovation, increase productivity, and will grow economies. But more importantly, we will all have better chances to solve today's biggest challenges in the world. So my friends, women in STEM and any male-dominated environment, keep it up, stay strong and connected. Follow me on Twitter, Gabriela Mueller, Instagram, Coach Gabriela Mueller, my website, www.gabrielamueller.com, and sign up for the newsletter for more tools and strategies that can only get to you via email. My friends, go for your boldest dreams. I wish you a successful and productive day. Until next time in the Smart Woman Podcast. Hasta la vista.